The year is 2023. It's been 4 years since the last Mortal Kombat game was released. Anxiously waiting to see what the next NetherRealm game is. In May, we finally got that reveal. Another timeline reset, this time with Liu Kang becoming a god, creating a new timeline. The trailer looked stunning and got us all excited for the game and what's to come. As we slowly had the roster get revealed, the excitement was building as we had many new and old characters that haven't been in Mortal Kombat in over a decade. This game would provide a fresh timeline, and the game in its many stages looked beautiful, a very colorful and vibrant game. Many character stories have been changed, and characters in general, Bi-Han, Kuai Liang changing from Sub-Zero to Scorpion and vice versa. Very interesting change to say the least. Mortal Kombat 1 was however releasing with a system that definitely has the fan base split, and that's the Kameo system. It's basically a way to bring characters in who would feel like a waste of a main roster slot otherwise, but keep them in the game as a side character, adding additional moves and abilities to help extend combos, create safe opportunities, and many more things. It was a way to extend the creativity of combos with now having 4 characters in match at once. The beta was announced for August of 2023. It would include a couple characters in 2 stages. But before we get to that, in July they revealed a trailer with all of the Kombat Pack 1 characters. Omni-Man, Ermac, Quan Chi, Takeda, and Homelander. Now this personally made me buy the premium edition. The hype was at an all-time high, and the beta arrives in August. Although simple, has a very fun gameplay with what was presented, it felt good in my opinion. Sub-Zero was nerfed from the beta after everyone felt he was too strong. We got an early look at Li Mei, who we haven't seen playable in Mortal Kombat in a long time. And then Kenshi and the Sinto that would later go on to traumatize many with the cheese. After the beta ended September 19th, couldn't come fast enough. Now premium owners got the game early on the 14th. So when the 14th came, so did the game. The story was a mixed one for many. Feeling more like a Marvel movie at times. Had a fun and good start in my opinion, but the story was a multiverse plot which many found diluted and overdone at the time. It is also featured Quan Chi and Ermac, which many and myself thought was crazy because why are they in the base part of the game's story, and you even fight against them? And then there were DLC and not on the main roster. Besides the fact that the story was decent in my opinion, the game also included another mode, replacing the crypt called Invasions. It's a board game style mode where you go from one level to the next, fighting and advancing through areas like Johnny Cage's mansion, a village, and many more. It was a fun mode for a while, but it gets really repetitive fast. There was a lot of needed changes, such as the ambush system making it frustrating to try and go to each new spot. The whole point of this mode was for seasons, and each season you complete the many mesas. Work your way to the Titan / boss version of a character and fight them to unlock a usually really cool skin for the character, and as you progress, you got rewards as well. The game mode also has towers area where you would go in and do towers for other rewards. There still was regular towers as well. Within Invasions, they brought back Test Your Might from MKX, which was a fun addition. However, despite all these grand and new features and modes, the game was released missing a lot, especially compared to the other fighting games that came out around the same time. We didn't have rooms, online practice, in ranks you couldn't reject bad ping matches, the playback feature was missing features, frame data was wrong on moves list, and although a lot of these are fixed today, we got what Tekken has in the replay system. We can load in and figure out how to deal with this said situation better. The game was just missing a lot of content that we know now is never coming, such as rooms and the many leaked features in game modes such as the tag-in mode or mercies. On top of all of this, the game had a store. Good old Warner Bros. Needing that extra moolah on top of a full price game. If you wanted all the cool skins or wanted to buy cameos instead of leveling up to unlock them, you needed dragon crystals. And at the time, each good skin costed 1,000 crystals. They later would lower this price to 500 for each skin and 1,000 for an announcer pack. It still feels tone deaf and didn't feel it had a slot in the game, especially when we have the Shrine and Invasions, where you're supposed to go and unlock skins. In a seasonal store and coins you earn by playing, You couldn't earn these skins with in-game currency. They did add a mastery system for each character, which was a great addition. It rewards you for playing characters, giving you rewards such as brutalities, fatalities, golden color palettes to show your mastery with the character. It also had some dragon crystals, so if you don't want to spend extra money, you have to grind your way through every character just for a skin you want on one character you play. And if invasions didn't exist, leveling up characters would be 10 times harder. It would take 10 times more time. Later on, they would add many more ways to get dragon crystals for free. Now after the game's launch, it was clear that the game was falling off as the time went on to Omni-Man's release, as casual players were finding the Kameo system too confusing or hard, or didn't like a lot of the features / content, or what they changed with said characters that they love and played from past games. The game would continue to be criticized as each new update and season came out, despite the game getting a little better with each update. From the paid fatals, many balancing changes, lack of new modes or missing features that took over a year to add when it should have been the game at launch. The game would continue to become better and get in that healthier state with them adding new moves to existing characters, new seasons of content to unlock in invasions and the shrine, new characters to freshen the experience up. Throughout each season, we get the main roster fighter at the start, then a cameo about a fewish weeks into the season. The first Kombat pack was great as well, adding some fan favorites back and some big guest characters as well. Despite Homelander being busted on launch, the game was shaping up and the horizon was starting to look good for the game. Now that Kombat Pack 1 is finished and we had all the invasion seasons, everyone was eager for what's next in MK1. And at San Diego Comic-Con 2024, they would reveal what's next. And not knowing it at the time, this would be the start of the downfall of Mortal Kombat 1. They would reveal a lot for the game actually, with animalities returning for free, new main roster characters, and a new story with many updates to the game and existing characters. Now this all sounds great. MK1 needed a lot of what the Khaos Reigns era brought. However, it was not looked on fondly, especially the Kombat Pack 2 characters. At the time, the only way to get the new pack was to buy the whole DLC, which wasn't cheap at all. It cost a damn whole game here in Canada being over $60. On top of this, there was no new cameos listed, and the new fighters were controversial themselves. We finally got Noob Saibot in the game, along with Sector and Cyrax, now females, which in my eyes is perfectly fine, but I think more of the fact they weren't cyborgs anymore and just wearing Iron Man suits had many unhappy. You know what? I remember the gender swap thing being upsetting, as people wanted female characters such as Jade and Scarlet, etc., and not just like a gender swap. Then the guest characters were not looked upon fondly, other than maybe Ghostface. Not many were excited for T-1000 and Conan, despite the hefty price and mediocre characters compared to the first pack. And as the marketing was building up for the DLC, Ed Boon would go on and reveal that MK1 will get many more years of content and that this is just year 2. This will come into play later. On September 24th, 2024, Khaos Reigns released, including many new beautiful stages, new brutals to unlock in the seasonal shop for just playing the game. Many quality of life updates. The game was feeling fresh, especially getting Noob, Sector, and Cyrax on the release. However, the story wasn't great at all, containing Thanos Havoc as a villain, a poor plot, and the story in general being far too short. I believe it's around 2 hours. It's a very underwhelming story expansion. As some time went on, some rumors started rising that Zaslav, the head of Warner Bros., cancelled support for future DLCs and content after the Khaos Reigns era ended. Now these were just rumors at the time, and especially with what Ed Boon, the co-creator and one of the heads at NetherRealm, said that this would be the longest supported Mortal Kombat ever. And as time went and the DLC fighter came out, side note, they really cooked with them. Ghostface became my favorite character to play personally. Conan was actually fun. They made him an interesting character with many unique features. And T-1000 was arguably the best character in the game for a while, with them surprise dropping Madame Bo as a cameo along with him. There were signs that MK1 was actually finished after the final character, and rumors arise as nobody knew what the plan was after T-1000. We weren't getting new invasion seasons anymore, got all the features in the game that were missing from launch. Well, some, such as Warrior Shrine and online practice, still didn't get rooms in the game modes in the files, and speculation and demand for Kombat Pack 3 was in the air, and NetherRealm was silence. Mortal Kombat 1 has finally been finished. It felt like a proper game after over a year and a half of waiting. The game was in a good state, had lots of content, many things to experience. A lot of fans' opinions changed on the game from hate to liking, and as weeks went on and speculation and questions were wondering where Kombat Pack 3 was, NetherRealm would finally break the silence. NetherRealm out of nowhere announced a definitive edition of MK1, usually meaning that there would be no more additional content for the game. A bit longer went by, with people angry but still holding on to hope it's not over. Then NetherRealm would take to Twitter to finally put an end to the speculation and hope. They announced that other than balancing changes, there would be no more additional DLC or big updates for the game as they start their focus on the next game. This was extremely disappointing, especially after all these false promises constantly from NetherRealm and Ed Boon himself. The promises and grandiose scale that Mortal Kombat 1 was supposed to have was ended like that. This is where game companies promising things means nothing, as at any time the plug can be pulled and you left your fanbase disappointed and angry. It can potentially affect sales in the future for the next games and company. The constant pulls from Ed Boon and promises to support this game for years to come, adding content we've all wanted and know is in the files. The characters such as Jade and more that fans have wanted and were hopeful for, especially since Mortal Kombat 1 was in its best spot ever and finally felt like a game that was good and could keep going on. They pulled the plug over some mid DLC that didn't sell as well as expected. It's unfortunate, but in today's world, it's impossible to fully trust and get excited for games and content. You never know if the rug's gonna get pulled from under you, or if you're gonna get scammed out of features and content or lied to. I just hope for Injustice 3 or MK2, whatever the next game may be, they learned a lot from Mortal Kombat 1 and will properly finish the game and not promise anything that will be years down the line or too grand, knowing they might not be able to do it or deliver on that promise. The potential this game has to be one of the greatest fighting games, one of the best Mortal Kombats is gone, and the many want characters and content we will never see. But at least the game's finally finished, right?